Hello, welcome. Taking a break here from the trucks, camper, all that. It's winter time and we have another project. There's always a project. You guys see like every fourth project. Right, Sherman? What are you looking at? Okay, thank you. In the van life world, you know, all that stuff, these diesel heaters, diesel air heaters, parking heaters, they put them in tractor trailers, semi trucks for in the cab area, so you don't have to run the truck to get heat. And they're getting very popular in the van life world, and people putting them in garages and all sorts of stuff because of how cheap they are now that they're coming from China. And I got one shipped to my door for $130, and we're gonna see if I can make this thing efficient and actually heat my garage instead of using the Big Buddy propane heater. And but I don't trust the thing inside, so I'm gonna mount it outside and then pipe it in, and at least that's the plan. None of this has happened yet because this is the box. And the big thing, here's the big thing, here's the whole reason why I even did it, is because I've been seeing that some people are running used motor oil, filtered used motor oil, and cutting it with diesel and getting them to run. They're having issues, you know, I've been watching videos on it and stuff like that, and there's definitely people that are having issues with them getting all creosote or sooted up inside. But I figured I'd try it. I got used motor oil. It's a $130 heater. If I gotta scrap it, throw it away, then I scrap it. It was a test run. It should run for a little bit at least. So it's a little trial and error. Sherman thinks that I'm talking to him because they were just sleeping until I started talking to the camera. No one's even in here. I don't know if people realize how weird it is to talk to a camera. I know other YouTubers mention it, but like anybody who has never made a YouTube video or videoed themselves, go out in your garage. Here, do this for me. Go out in your garage, pick up your phone or your camera, and just point it at your face, and then talk to nothing. It's weird, especially when someone's watching you do it. Anyway, it seems that there are people doing a ton of upgrades to these. And as far as upgrades, I mean like not using certain components of the kits because they're not the best, because they're cheap, you know. So I might change the fuel lines to run copper, stuff like that, instead of the fuel line it comes with. So I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna see what I even got, because you never really know. And I'm gonna stop blabbing, so let's get to it. What are you doing, Tank? Where's Tank? We gotta get the star. There he is. Hi, Tank. No one knows who you are. What's your name? What's your name, Tank? This is what you get in here. You know, your intake tubes, exhaust, a little muffler, fuel line, got the controller, remote, stuff like that. So of course I'm disassembling the thing before I even try it, because anything you buy, no matter where it's made, you gotta make sure it's made correctly, especially these types of units. And the fan here, all I did was I took this piece off here. This is the blower fan that blows the air across the cooling fins, which makes heat coming out of the exhaust, or not the exhaust, but the actual heat output. So this fan here, if you can hear that, is totally just interfering with this circuit board. Oh boy. Yep, anyway, I'm not surprised at all. It was $130. So I gotta figure out how to get this blade to get pressed off that motor shaft a little bit to get it outboard so that it's not interfering or something. Figure out what's going on. If you turn this thing on, it probably wouldn't even have spun. But let's see if we can fix it. Well, we got her chucked up in the vise. Talk about just, you can't leave it alone. I just can't leave it alone. This was that fan. Okay, now it was, look at that now. I was able to just pull this off the motor shaft and just, all it is pressed on. It's got a spline, and there's actually a little, I guess they're magnets or steel. They're probably magnets, because there's a sensor here. It's like a wheel sensor that has to be very, very close to this little board here, because that must be a wheel speed sensor, or you know what I mean. So I'm just gonna put this case back on. It was pretty easy, no tools to even pull this case off. I was looking at the casting, there's some chips and everything, but it's a $130 thing. This is the fuel line, the intake, it goes in, it feeds right in. This is the burn pot thing, I guess. What are you doing, Sherman? Okay, yeah, no, you're just a little Shermanator. Okay. So I didn't want this multiple output one, but it was the cheapest one, so I'm gonna have to figure out. I just want one output. But here's a fuel tank they give you, 10 liters, however much that is. I don't know, looks like a gallon or two. They don't give you a bung or anything, so there's a little thicker portion of plastic right here. There you go. And then they give you this little petcock, or you know, feed or whatever. So I'm gonna drill a 5/16 hole here, put that in there with the do-over. The instructions, might as well just burn them, because have fun with the instructions. It doesn't mean anything. So we just got to figure out on our own. They give you 2 O-rings, they give you some stuff. I'm gonna pop this in. Let's see how it's drilled. We're gonna run a smaller drill bit first as a pilot. Run that. This is not a how-to. This is how I did it. There you go. So you can see here, I got the hole drilled like I said, and then there's a little, it's the seam from where it's molded, so I'm going to take a file and file that flush. I have the nipple portion with the O-ring ready to go, and it's got to get in there. Well, you got to feed it in there. So I got this regular mechanics wire, and I have it onto the, you know, threaded onto the wire, and I bent it a little bit so it doesn't get crooked, and then, or it doesn't fall off. And then my plan is to feed this wire all the way through, somehow get it in that hole, and then pull it through. Let's see if I can figure this out. There you go, I got that O-ring behind there, and I just held this aluminum nipple with needle nose while I tighten this. It's a 12mm wrench, this nut, flange nut, and that sandwiched that in there. I just kind of tightened it decent, and well, we'll see if it leaks. If it leaks, tighten it more. Went to multiple stores to try and figure out this ductwork. This is crazy. It's all because I don't want to have the heater inside because I don't trust it, but let's keep going. So we have to drill the hole. Right here is where we want it. And I got this long drill bit. I'm going to drill to the outside directly between the 2 studs. So hopefully it does not hit anything. Let's find out. Felt good. Must be not insulated. Got a 6-inch hole saw. It's the only hole saw size that'll fit. It really needed like a 5.5 inch. But yeah, we're gonna see if this will actually go all the way through, and see if it works out. We got this hose layer, whatever it is, from the fire truck that stood up to divide in the inside of the fire body for the hoses or whatnot. I'm gonna use this and cut it at 10 inches long and use it as a standoff upside down from what you see here for the heater. We are gonna drill this for all the plumbing and all that stuff. All right, now that your guys are deaf, we're gonna hit this. This is a 4.5 inch hole saw. I'm gonna have to clamp this, but we'll try it anyway. We got some stuff together. I had to go to the store. Obviously, you need parts to get stuff done. I found 3/16 fuel line. I'm using that for my, there's a guy on YouTube, if anybody's doing these diesel pumps, diesel heaters, is to use this guy John MK 47 or something like that. He has an entire series. He's from Australia, and if anybody is buying one of these pumps, you just need to watch all the videos in that series. It teaches you a lot. So anyway, you got to reinvent the wheel here pretty much because of it. So I couldn't find nylon tubing. This is a boost gauge install kit. Just the accessories. Luckily I found that at Vance Auto. That was the only place I could find nylon tubing that was the correct size, which is tiny. I think it's 1/16 of an inch ID. That guy John says for a 2mm ID, so this is close enough. And that's hard tubing. And I got this whole rig up situation with fuel line and I don't know. So we're gonna try and make this work. So I finally got this thing done. Well, done enough where we can actually test it. We got this is the, the heated air coming in, and I found this flange that it's kind of telescopic, or it goes different wall thicknesses. So that's how I use that. And this is actually a double wall pipe here, so that it hopefully will not heat the actual wall at all. Don't forget, this is an exhaust. This is heated air, so it's not like 500 degrees. It's not like a chimney or anything. This is just the heated air, but still it's probably gonna get pretty hot. And then I have a battery charger, just like a battery tender, running through the mouse hole, which goes right out. And then I have the controller wiring that comes up, and I mounted this controller here. I have it primed up to the actual fuel pump, but we're gonna manually actually electronically prime it now with the fuel pump and try and get this thing primed and just run it. So we're only gonna show you from the inside because it's dark and raining. Here's the first startup on this contraption. So Jen was in there priming it, and it primed up this nylon tube. Now she turned it on. Oh, I can smell it. She's running. Oh yeah, it's warm. Wow, it's pretty cool. Smells like an oil burner. It's weird. It's kind of just, I don't know, I'm happy because I spent all day on it, but it's kind of cool. Alright, well, I said I wasn't going to have any film at night, but in the rain, but guess what? I got film at night in the rain. But she's running. Cool. What a crazy contraption. I mean, it looks like a terror. There's the battery. Man, it really has a lot of exhaust. There's that stuff. Nope. So here is the deal. We're chasing daylight around here, okay? This is wintertime in northeastern Pennsylvania. Don't mind that, that's not snow, that's cardboard from burning. Northeastern Pennsylvania in December. This is what you get, 4 p.m. I can only get so much done here in the daylight for you guys to see. So I have a nice microwave that I disassembled and use as my little rain cap right now. I mean, this is like some of the most wild looking install. Messy, not my normal go, but it works. Eventually I want to run the other fuel on it. So the best way to do that is to start and stop the heater on diesel and have two tanks and switch over, just like a vehicle that runs on veggie oil or something. You switch when it's hot, you switch it over to your other fuel, and then you switch it back on diesel before you shut her down. I want to make a little stand or whatever for the fuel tanks to sit so that I can fill them easily. They're not against the wall. This just got to get all reorganized. So I'm going to do that now. I'm not going to film because I'm going to run out of time, but I'll show you what's done. Figured I'd get you a progress shot here. So I got some 4x4s for a base, some plywood, and then I just drilled a hole saw through here. Or not a hole saw, a paddle bit, and then put an eye bolt in here, and that's on there. So that's going to be one of the tanks, and then the other tank. Whoa! It's because I start talking. She thinks I'm talking to her. So I drilled a 5/16 hole, and I had an 1/8 inch MPT tap. So that's the size of it. I never tapped plastic, but well, figured I'd try it. So here we go. So I got that tapped. And then here's the barb fitting. I like to use thread compound to assist with Sealing. Had plastic tanks leak in the camper actually. I had a plastic tank leak and I had to use that. So it was another plastic fitting, but still be a better chance. So I'm gonna tighten that down. Looks like it started in the MPT thread, so we're looking good. Heater has been running for, I'm gonna say a couple weeks now. We're gonna just give you a little conclusion thoughts on it. That right there is the internal temperature of the burn chamber. 10 degrees Celsius is the air inside here. I can tell you that it's very similar to what this Big Buddy puts out as far as how fast how warm it gets in here. And I believe that's like a 22,000 BT or something like that. So anyway, what I'm getting at is it's not like having a torpedo heater in here. This thing, it takes hours to get this garage warmed up. But here's the thing, the garage is not insulated and it's starting at 30 degrees, so everything is so cold in here. It was 30 degrees Fahrenheit in here this morning, 2 hours ago, and I fired up both heaters, and right now we're at 50 degrees. So you want to go out, Tank? Go ahead. You want to go out, Sherman? You want to go out? Go ahead. So here is the get up. I got everything all hooked up here. So here's my battery. I tried cleaning it up. I made this stand out of 4x4s and stuff like that, and I hooked up this tank here, and you saw me plumb that, and here's the original tank that came with it, and then here's my plumbing that is coming out of the back there. So there's the plumbing that comes out of the back of this tank, and it's with a barb fitting. It goes around, goes through the filter, and then this is the filter, and it comes out for this tank. And then I have 2 valves for dirt bike that I just got on here, so I can choose which fuel tank I want to pull from. So right now, you know, I'll have fuel source 1, fuel source 2. I want to pull on straight diesel on starting and stopping, and then I'll pull from the alternative fuel source after it's warmed up when I want to do some testing on it in the future. You can see that I'm running nylon tubing here, and you can actually see if I can get you the bubbles here. You can see the air bubbles going through, which is normal operation, but you can see how fast. So I'm going to turn. So now we'll be pulling out of this tank here. I really should put heat wrap around that exhaust so that this nylon tubing doesn't touch. But yeah, this is it. She's running good. She's been running a week, I'm going to say 2 weeks now. I really should also insulate this, because this is not insulated and I'm losing a lot of heat. But you know what? It's like, I just needed it. Got other stuff going on. So it's like, just get it running. That's it. We're going to call it done. Oh, another note is, most of these don't need hose clamps. If they're a pretty tight fit on that fuel line, you don't need a hose clamp. This was a loose fit. I had to actually put 3 hose clamps. She was dripping pretty fast. Running on high, I bet you go through almost 2 gallons a day. That is going to conclude this here on the diesel heater for now. I'm going to do some more testing here probably in the future, but for now I'm just going to run it on the fuels that it's meant to run on and just warm the garage up, because we got other stuff going on. So stay tuned, and you'll see whatever other projects we get into. So stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next video.